In the vast expanse of the cosmos, the United Galactic Alliance UGA stood as a beacon of unity and progress, encompassing a multitude of species and civilizations. For centuries, peace had reigned under its banner, with technological advancements fostering prosperity across star systems. However, this harmony was shattered when the Zarkalon Empire, a race of formidable warriors with an insatiable thirst for conquest, launched a series of unprovoked attacks on UGA territories. The initial skirmishes, though alarming, were met with confidence by the UGA High Command. Admiral Saran Thorn, a seasoned strategist with a reputation for decisive action, led the defense efforts. Thorn, a human from the Sol system, had dedicated her life to the Alliance, believing deeply in its ideals of cooperation and peace. Her second-in-command, Commander Jorakel, hailed from the telepathic Varine species, providing invaluable insights into enemy tactics. Despite their technological superiority, the UGA forces soon found themselves outmaneuvered. The Zarkalons employed guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and retreating before a counterattack could be mounted. Planets fell in rapid succession, and the once unassailable borders of the Alliance began to crumble. In the war room aboard the flagship Aegis, holographic displays projected the grim reality of their situation. Red markers denoted lost territories, spreading like a hemorrhage across the galactic map. Admiral Thorn stood at the center, her brow furrowed, eyes scanning the reports. "We've underestimated them," she admitted, her voice tinged with frustration. Commander Jorakel nodded, his tendrils twitching, a sign of deep concern among the Varine. "Their strategies are unorthodox. They exploit our predictability." As the weeks turned into months, the UGA situation grew increasingly dire. Supply lines were disrupted and morale plummeted. In a secluded chamber, the UGA Council convened to discuss their dwindling options. "We must consider all possibilities," Counselor Riva, a reptilian Zinthar, urged. "Our conventional forces are faltering." A silence settled over the assembly until Counselor Malik, a human representative known for his pragmatism, spoke. "There is another option. The 7th Human Battalion." Murmurs rippled through the council. The 7th was infamous, a unit comprised of humans trained in unconventional warfare, often operating in the shadows. Their methods were effective but ruthless, raising ethical questions. "They're a last resort," Counselor Riva hissed. "Their tactics border on barbarism." "Barbaric, perhaps," Malik conceded, "but effective. We face annihilation. Do we let our principles doom us?" After a heated debate, the council reached a reluctant consensus. The 7th Human Battalion would be deployed to stem the Zarkalon advance. Admiral Thorn, though conflicted, understood the necessity. She summoned Captain Elias Ward, the leader of the 7th. Ward, a man of few words, had a reputation forged in the crucible of countless covert operations. "Captain Ward," Thorn addressed him in her quarters, "you're being activated." Ward's steely gaze met hers. "Understood. Rules of engagement. Minimal collateral damage," she replied, though both knew the ambiguity that phrase entailed. "We'll do what's necessary," Ward stated, his tone devoid of emotion. As the 7th prepared for deployment, whispers spread throughout the fleet. Some viewed them as saviors, others as a necessary evil. Among the battalion was Lieutenant Maya Chun, a tactical genius whose innovations had turned the tide in previous conflicts. She approached Ward as they boarded their transport. "Do you think they'll let us finish the job this time?" she inquired, her voice laced with cynicism. Ward glanced at her, a rare hint of a smile tugging at his lips. "They don't have a choice." The transport's engines roared to life, and the 7th Human Battalion embarked on their mission, carrying the weight of the Alliance's hopes and fears on their shoulders. As the stars streaked past, Admiral Thorn watched from the observation deck, a sense of unease settling in her chest. She knew that while the 7th might win battles, the true cost of their methods remained to be seen. The war was far from over, and its outcome now hinged on the actions of those willing to embrace the darkness to protect the light. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, the flagship of the 7th Human Battalion, as it approached the war-torn planet of Epsilon Prime. The once thriving colony now lay in ruins, its cities reduced to smoldering rubble under the relentless assault of the Zarkalon Empire. Ward's steely blue eyes scanned the holographic display, analyzing enemy positions and fortifications. Lieutenant Chun, Ward addressed as tactical officer, initiate Operation Phantom Strike. Deploy reconnaissance drones to map out their anti-air defenses. Lieutenant Maya Chun, a prodigious strategist with a knack for unconventional warfare, nodded sharply. Her fingers danced across the console, launching a fleet of stealth drones into the planet's atmosphere. As data streamed in, Chen's brow furrowed. Captain, the Zarkalons have established a dense network of anti-aircraft batteries around their command center, she reported. A direct assault would result in significant casualties. Ward's jaw tightened. Then we won't give them a direct assault. Prepare the infiltration teams. We'll dismantle their defenses from within. As night cloaked Epsilon Prime, squads of human soldiers descended silently behind enemy lines, utilizing advanced cloaking technology. Among them was Sergeant Marcus Reaper Kane, renowned for his lethal efficiency in close-quarters combat. His team navigated the labyrinthine passages of a ruined city, approaching an enemy outpost. "Hold position," Kane whispered, raising a clenched fist. Ahead, a pair of Zarkalon sentries stood guard, their towering, armored forms illuminated by the flickering glow of a nearby fire. Corporal Elena Vasquez, the team's sharpshooter, adjusted her scope, targeting the sentries. "Ready to engage on your mark," she murmured. Kane assessed the situation, then shook his head. "Negative. We can't risk alerting the others. We'll find another way." The team circumvented the outpost, planting explosive charges at strategic points. As they retreated to a safe distance, Kane signaled Vasquez. "Detonate." A series of controlled explosions rippled through the outpost, plunging the area into chaos. Zarkalon forces scrambled to respond, their communications disrupted by the EMP blast embedded within the charges. Back on the Vanguard, Lieutenant Chin monitored the operation's progress. "Captain, the infiltration teams have successfully neutralized multiple anti-air installations. We have an opening." Ward's lips curved into a rare smile. "Excellent. Initiate aerial assault. Deploy the 3rd and 5th Divisions to secure the perimeter." Dropships descended through the atmosphere, deploying waves of human soldiers who swiftly established a foothold. The Zarkalons, unprepared for the sudden offensive, found themselves on the defensive. In the midst of the battlefield, Captain Ward led a contingent toward the enemy's central command. His combat exosuit enhanced his strength and reflexes, allowing him to engage multiple adversaries with lethal precision. Beside him, Lieutenant Chun coordinated artillery strikes, her strategic acumen turning the tide of skirmishes in their favor. As they breached the command center, Ward confronted General Exorvas, the Zarkalon commander responsible for countless UGA casualties. The alien's multifaceted eyes glinted with malice as he brandished an energy blade. "Your resistance is futile, human," Exorvas hissed, lunging forward. Ward parried the strike with his own blade, the clash of energies illuminating the chamber. "We've only just begun to fight," he retorted, driving Exorvas back with a series of calculated blows. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Chin accessed the central terminal, extracting critical intelligence on Zarkalon troop movements and supply lines. "Captain, I've secured their strategic plans. This could turn the entire war in our favor." Ward nodded, delivering a final, decisive strike that felled General Exorvas. "Transmit the data to UGA High Command. Let's end this war." As the 7th Human Battalion consolidated their victory on Epsilon Prime, the morale of UGA forces soared. News of the successful operation spread rapidly, igniting hope across beleaguered star systems. The once unstoppable Zarkalon advance had been halted, and the momentum now shifted toward the Alliance. However, amidst the triumph, whispers of unease permeated the ranks. The ruthlessness of the 7TH's tactics, while effective, raised ethical questions among the UGA's diverse species. Admiral Saran Thorne, observing from the command ship, pondered the implications of their methods. At what cost do we achieve victory? She mused quietly, her reflection mirrored in the viewport overlooking the reclaimed planet. The war's trajectory had shifted, but the path ahead remained fraught with moral ambiguity and unforeseen challenges. In the aftermath of the decisive victory on Epsilon Prime, the United Galactic Alliance, UGA, experienced a resurgence of hope. The once unstoppable Zarkalon advance had been halted, and liberated planets began the arduous process of rebuilding. Admiral Saran Thorne, aboard the flagship Aegis, observed these developments with a mixture of relief and contemplation. Captain Elias Ward and Lieutenant Maya Chun of the 7th Human Battalion were summoned to the Aegis for a debriefing. As they entered the Admiral's quarters, the weight of their recent actions hung heavily between them. Captain Ward, Lieutenant Chun, Admiral Thorne began, her gaze steady. Your strategies have been instrumental in turning the tide of this war. However, reports indicate that your methods have raised ethical concerns among our allies. Ward met her eyes without flinching. Admiral, our priority was to halt the Zarkalon threat by any means necessary. In war, difficult decisions are inevitable. Lieutenant Chen added, we ensured civilian casualties were minimized, but unconventional tactics were essential against an enemy as relentless as the Zarkalons. Thorne sighed, leaning back in her chair. The Council acknowledges the efficacy of your actions, but is divided on the morality. We must consider the long-term implications of adopting such ruthless strategies. Meanwhile, on the recently liberated planet of Draconis IV, Sergeant Marcus Reaper, Kane and his unit assisted in reconstruction efforts. The local populace, a reptilian species known as the Draconians, regarded the human soldiers with a mixture of gratitude and apprehension. During a break, Kane observed a young Draconian child playing amidst the rubble. The child's mother approached, her scales shimmering under the sun. Thank you for freeing us, she said cautiously. But the ferocity of your battle has left scars beyond the physical. Kane nodded solemnly. War demands a heavy toll. We did what was necessary to end the occupation swiftly. Back on the Aegis, Admiral Thorne convened a meeting with the UGA Council to discuss the future role of the 7th Human Battalion. Counselor Riva voiced the concerns of many. While their effectiveness is undeniable, Riva began, the moral cost of their methods cannot be ignored. We risk compromising the very principles upon which the Alliance was founded, Counselor Malik countered. Without the 7TH's intervention, the Zarkalons would have overrun our core worlds. Survival sometimes necessitates harsh choices. Thorne interjected. We must find a balance. The 7TH's tactics should be a last resort, not a standard practice. As the debate continued, Captain Ward and Lieutenant Chun reflected on their actions. In a private conversation, Chun voiced her doubts. Elias, do you ever question if we're losing our humanity in this fight? Ward stared out at the stars. Every day. But I also know that without our resolve, countless more would suffer under Zarkalon tyranny. On Draconis IV, Sergeant Kane and his team prepared to depart. The Draconian mother from earlier approached him once more. Will peace ever truly return, she asked. Kane offered a faint smile. That's what we're fighting for. But peace is a collective effort. We all have roles to play. As the 7th Human Battalion regrouped, the UGA faced a pivotal decision: how to integrate the battalion's undeniable prowess without sacrificing the ethical foundations of the Alliance. The path forward remained uncertain. But one truth was clear: the war had irrevocably transformed them all.